The grand residence of the Winthrop Grand Duke stands majestically.
Two nannies arrive, Evelyn with short brown hair and Bella with long auburn hair. The Grand Duke's butler, a man with a white mustache, introduces himself as Alan.
Alan leads the two women into the magnificent estate.
He explains that the master is not difficult, but as a former soldier, is very strict about rules.
Alan gestures for them to enter a luxurious drawing room.
Bella curiously wonders about the person they are about to meet.
Alan reveals a portrait of the handsome, black-haired Grand Duke Ryan Winthrop, surprising Bella.
Bella smiles, thinking he is exactly as she imagined, and that she traveled far to meet him.
A story begins, titled The Bloody Throne and the Silver Vow, about Cale Winthrop, an emperor's illegitimate child who falls for a duke's daughter and vows to reclaim his identity. Facing the tyrannical emperor Adrian Winthrop, Cale leaves the duke's house and joins the Bara army. The army successfully overthrows the emperor, but their victory is tragically brief. The defeated, blindfolded emperor sits slumped in his throne, mortally wounded. Despair follows as the emperor's nephew, Aaron Winthrop, takes his own brother and leads the empire to ruin.
To end the tragedy, Cale executes Aaron before proving his own bloodline and ascending to the throne.
A gleaming crown is presented, symbolizing the start of a new era. The scene shifts to a woman with dark hair and glasses typing at her desk, narrating the story's climax as a quiet tap-tap sounds from her keyboard. She sighs in frustration over endless revisions, feeling the final boss's appearance is too rushed, but determined to finish. Suddenly, a sharp pain strikes her head, and she collapses, her last thoughts on her missed deadline. As she fades, she accepts her unhappy life had no regrets, with one small exception. Her final thought is a lament. The final villain had just appeared, and the story was almost finished. A woman with long auburn hair and green eyes awakens in a bed, looking dazed. She sits up in a panic, wondering if she's in a VIP hospital room she can't afford. She pinches her cheek to test if it's a dream and yelps, "Ah, it hurts." A maid rushes to her side, urging Miss Vina to prepare for an important guest. The woman is confused by the names Vienna and Count, lost in thought as the maid calls for her attention. The horrifying realization dawns on her. She has been reincarnated into her own novel as a minor character with no lines. She despairs, having possessed Vienna Tangharin, a side character from a corrupt family that supported the tyrant emperor. The Tungaren family head offered his own daughters as concubines to curry favor with the emperor. She calls her new father trash and frantically tries to figure out her current location in the story's timeline. Overhearing gossip, she learns that Grand Duke Ryan Winthrop is returning today with the new title of Archduke. While one maid gushes over the Archduke's heroic reputation, another scoffs that he's just the emperor's brother. Vienna puts the pieces together. Ryan is the emperor's brother and the father of the final villain, Aaron. With dawning horror, the woman with pinkish red hair connects the dots. The important guest must be related to Ryan's return. She realizes with terror that today is the day Vienna is sent to the palace, where she will soon be killed by the emperor. A chilling vision shows her character's bloody demise for the simple crime of avoiding the emperor's gaze. Determined to escape her fate, Vienna bolts, startling a maid she hadn't noticed standing behind her. The maid screams as Vienna flees, discovering the wardrobe is already empty. The scene changes to a peaceful town by a canal. Vienna, having successfully escaped, laughs with relief that the Count's estate wasn't hard to leave. She muses on her probable death in the real world, lamenting her hard work and a fan event she'll now miss. A sliver of hope emerges.
If she can survive here, perhaps she can return to her world.
For now, she resolves to find work and live well in this new reality. Her resolve is shattered as a thief suddenly grabs her bag and yanks it away with a cry of "Eek!"
She panics as all her money is stolen, but a red-haired man suddenly shouts for the thief to stop.
With a swift kick, the red-haired man trips the thief, who falls to the ground with an ugh. The red-haired man retrieves her bag, telling the thief he saw him suspiciously following her. He glares at the thief, warning him to get lost and not be caught again. He returns the bag to a sighing Vienna, cautioning her about being alone at night. She remarks on nearly being robbed in daylight, as the man questions why a noblewoman is wandering without servants. Vienna laughs nervously, claiming she was just bored. The red-haired man finds her speech odd for a noble and warns her to be careful before leaving. Grateful, Vienna asks for her savior's name. The red-haired man humbly agrees to share his name. He introduces himself as Edward's Kamar of the Emperor's Guard. Vienna is horrified, realizing he's the Emperor's villainous right-hand man. Edwards notices her shock and questions her reaction. She quickly claims she's just starstruck, hiding her real thoughts. He chalks it up to his duty and bids her farewell again.
Relieved, Vienna realizes she needs to find shelter before dark.
Vienna despairs, realizing she's planless in a dangerous world ruled by a tyrant, where commoners struggle to survive.
She desperately wonders where she can find safety.
She rules out seeking help from the protagonists, needing someone who doesn't know her family.
She struggles to think of a suitable character for refuge.
A sudden idea strikes her: Grand Duke Ryan Winthrop, the Emperor's younger brother. She recalls Ryan is a beloved hero destined to be unjustly killed by the Emperor. This tragedy fuels his son, Aaron, who eventually forms a rebel army and successfully gets his revenge over a decade later. But Aaron's revenge corrupts him, turning him into a mad, indiscriminate killer.
With newfound resolve, she decides her best chance for survival is to work undercover at the Grand Duke's residence.
A crowd gathers as the war hero's procession arrives. The citizens cheer wildly for Grand Duke Winthrop, hailing him as their savior from the Emperor's tyranny. The war hero, Grand Duke Ryan Winthrop, wonders about his brother's actions. The commoners plead for him to protect them.
In the throne room, Emperor Adrian Winthrop grants his brother, Ryan, an audience.
Ryan formally greets the Emperor, who tells him to rise. Ryan humbly pledges his eternal loyalty and attributes all his victories to the Emperor. Pleased, the Emperor commands him to stand.
The Emperor remarks on the capital's excitement for Ryan's victorious return.
The Emperor's tone shifts, menacingly recalling a prophecy that named Ryan as the Empire's savior. Ryan dismisses the prophecy as absurd, trusting the Emperor would not believe such divisive words. The Emperor feigns agreement, claiming he was only testing Ryan's loyalty against the people's praise. Ryan reaffirms his unwavering loyalty to the Emperor and the motherland. The Emperor sends Ryan to his residence to rest. After Ryan departs, the Emperor asks Edwards if he believed his brother's words. Edwards advises that only Ryan's future actions will reveal his true intentions. The Emperor muses that summoning Ryan was the correct move.
Ryan finds his new residence in disrepair, realizing he must hire workers himself despite the Emperor's promise.
Alan fumes, seeing the Emperor's actions as a shallow display of generosity meant to insult them. Ryan cuts him off, stating they must simply focus on their duties. Ryan asks about his son Aaron and instructs Alan to gather all nanny candidates within 1 week. 1 week later, the grand residence is fully restored. Rayan walks through the pristine hall with his aide, Owen. Alan introduces the new nannies, Bella and Evelyn, to the master. Vienna accepts her new identity as Bella. She recalls buying the identity of Bella, a woman forced to leave her newborn to work at the estate. Vienna offered the desperate Bella a fortune in exchange for her name and position, an offer she couldn't refuse. Rayan addresses Bella, mentioning her application and causing her to panic internally. He confirms her name is Bella, and she affirms it. Rayan instructs Alan to explain the mansion's rules to the new nannies. As Alan leads the nannies away, Ryan watches them go.
Rayan orders a background investigation into the new nanny, Bella. He recalls Bella's unblemished hands, doubting her backstory.
Alan begins explaining the strict rules for the young master's meals. Bella reads the harsh schedule, including military punishments for eating sweets. She is shocked by the extreme diet imposed on a young child.
Alan urges them to hurry and follow him, and Bella quickly complies. He stresses that the young master's 6 a.m. wake-up call is the top priority.
The other nanny, Evelyn, formally vows to follow the rules as Bella watches. Bella mimics the gesture, deciding to copy others to learn the etiquette.
As they walk, she hopes this method will help her adapt quickly.
Alan leads them to the training grounds, where a sword clangs against a dummy.
They watch a small boy training, as Alan identifies him as young master Aaron.
Aaron continues his strenuous sword practice under their watchful eyes. Bella watches the young boy with a deeply contemplative expression. With a jolt, she recognizes the child as the final villain from her novel. She smiles sadly, feeling immense guilt as the author who created his tragic fate. Bella wonders if she can change his destiny by preventing his father's death. Alan details Aaron's grueling daily training, which the nannies must not disturb. A grand clock chimes, signaling the end of the intense training session.
As Aaron rests, Alan announces that it is time to greet him.
He formally introduces the two new nannies, Bella and Evelyn, who curtsy.
The exhausted young master simply looks at them and says, "I see."
Bella worries about his poor complexion as Alan asks Aaron to choose one nanny.
Aaron looks at his attendants and reluctantly asks if he must choose.
His hand points decisively, choosing the other nanny, Evelyn.
While Evelyn looks smug, Bella is annoyed by the boy's attitude.
Alan dismisses Bella, ordering her to prepare the young master's bath.
She turns to leave, glancing back with a resigned look.
Suddenly, her eyes widen as a horrifying realization strikes her. She rushes back toward the boy, desperately shouting for them to wait. Evelyn angrily questions Bella's interference as she was the one chosen. Bella kneels and correctly describes Aaron's symptoms, shocking him with her accuracy. Alan approaches as Bella insists that the young master is unwell.
The butler erupts in disbelief, angrily questioning what she is talking about. Bella reveals a hidden bruise on his neck, diagnosing a serious lung condition.
Realizing the truth, a panicked Alan turns and runs to find a physician. From a window, Ryan watches over his son as he is attended to.
In the bedroom, a physician confirms Bella's diagnosis was correct and potentially life-saving.
Ryan sits beside the bed and softly asks Aaron why he hid his pain. Aaron looks down, admitting he was afraid of disappointing his father. Ryan looks confused, asking his son what he means by disappointed. Aaron explains that his father endures wounds on the battlefield too. Ryan gently tells him he is only a child and must never hide his condition again. After Aaron promises to obey, his father prepares to depart.
Bella observes the sadness in Aaron's eyes as he watches his father leave.
Ryan turns back, asking Bella if she was the one who noticed the injury.
Impressed, he questions how she knew what to look for without medical training.
Bella creates a cover story claiming she learned by caring for her athletic sibling. Evelyn glares from behind, thinking Bella is interfering and must be dealt with. Later, Bella sits at her desk, writing diligently by lamplight.
Bella sighs at her desk, realizing the Grand Duke's manor isn't safe either.
She reaffirms her resolve to protect Ryan from the Emperor's impending pressure.
Bella knows the Emperor isn't just a tyrant. He's a cunning, calculated viper. She worries about how to keep Ryan safe from the scheming Emperor.
Bella recalls Rayan's fate to die by an assassin, lamenting her lack of fighting skills.
She debates her options, knowing Ryan's integrity makes obedience to the Emperor impossible, and that fleeing is too dangerous. She decides on a third option, gain Ryan's trust and use her knowledge to help him.
With a flash of determination, Bella resolves to become Ryan's reliable helper.
In a memory, Bella gently feeds a weak Aaron in his bed.
She recalls becoming Aaron's nanny after he made a full and energetic recovery.
They were inseparable, even getting scolded together in class.
Their bond grew stronger as they spent quiet moments together under a tree.
She remembers realizing Ryan cared deeply for Aaron, but struggled to show it.
Bella reflects that the manor, once just for survival, has become much more.
Back in the present, Bella enters a room, excitedly calling for the young master. Ta-da! She proudly presents a plate of freshly baked chessboard cookies. Aaron blushes, sternly reminding her that snacks before meals are forbidden.
Bella leans in conspiratorially, promising to keep their snack a secret.
Slap! Aaron giggles, accusing Bella of just wanting the cookies for herself. As Aaron warns that the butler will scold her, a stern-faced maid glares from the shadows.
A few days later, the scene shifts to the Grand Winthrop Manor.
Inside, Ryan sits alone, quietly reading a book. The door creaks open as Bella peeks in, ready to report on Aaron. Ryan looks up, surprised to hear about plans for Aaron's birthday party. Bella envisions a magnificent feast with towering cakes and countless desserts for the party. Channeling her past life, she gives a presentation on party food as Ryan listens intently. She passionately suggests inviting other children and their parents to help Aaron socialize. Ryan bluntly shuts down her idea, shocking Bella into silence. He stares coldly, telling her he doesn't need to explain his decisions. Bella quickly apologizes, panicking that she overstepped in a class-based society. Ryan calmly explains that due to the unstable political climate, inviting outsiders is unwise. She scolds herself for getting lost in her nanny role and forgetting the Emperor's scrutiny. Composing herself, Bella apologizes for failing to consider the political implications. She wistfully imagines how happy Aaron would be celebrating with friends. Bella smiles warmly, deciding a simple family party will be wonderful nonetheless. Ryan watches her with a soft, understanding expression. Touched by his trust, Bella promises to prepare everything with her best effort. Just as she turns to leave, Ryan calls out, stopping her. He hesitantly asks for her thoughts on a suitable birthday gift for Aaron. Stunned, Bella realizes he's starting to trust her and resolves to answer well. She advises him that a gift showing a father's love means more than anything expensive. With a bright smile, she suggests that something he makes himself would be perfect. The scene shifts to the magnificent, snow-covered imperial palace. A red-haired aide reports to the Emperor that tax revenue has dropped by a third. The Emperor scowls from his throne, demanding to know why it's so meager. Furious, he orders the lords to be squeezed for more money, calling them useless. The aide protests, mourning that demanding more taxes amid a famine will cause severe backlash. The Emperor scoffs, suggesting they collect the money under the guise of disaster relief.
Defeated, the aide bows his head and accepts the cruel command. The emperor muses about granting his brother, Ryan, a fiefdom. Edwards asks if Ryan is to be an example, and the emperor praises his quick wit. Promising to handle the matter, Edwards respectfully takes his leave. The emperor smirks, satisfied with his choice of dog, as Edwards departs. In the kitchen, Bella hums a tune while happily kneading dough. A maid bursts in, announcing the butler needs Bella for birthday party plans. The kitchen falls silent after the maid's departure. Bella is confused, recalling the butler said he didn't need her. She decides to bake a tangy lemon cake, knowing Ryan dislikes sweets. With a squeeze, she resolves to use this chance to impress him. Her work is interrupted by a sudden realization. A cheerful ta-da echoes from beyond the doors. Bella playfully covers Aaron's eyes for a surprise. He opens his eyes, startled and wide with wonder. A room filled with gifts and balloons is revealed. Aaron stares in awe at a lavish table of desserts. His face lights up with pure, unadulterated joy. Overwhelmed, Aaron declares he's never seen anything so beautiful. Bella explains his father arranged the party to make up for past birthdays. Aaron turns to Ryan and shyly thanks his father. The small boy impulsively hugs his father's waist. Overjoyed, Aaron exclaims his happiness while hugging his father tightly. Ryan smiles and gently pats his son's head, feeling happy too. As Bella reflects on the new warmth in the house, a frantic voice shouts for his grace. Alan rushes in, breathlessly announcing an uninvited guest. An unseen guest remarks that uninvited sounds rather harsh. Edwards Kamar appears, cheekily questioning his new status as an unwanted visitor. Bella panics, terrified that Edwards will recognize her. She desperately tries to hide her face, praying not to be noticed. Edwards surveys the extravagant party spread with interest. Noting the birthday, he decides a gift is in order. He dramatically pulls an ornate dagger from his coat. The guards draw their swords as Ryan demands to know what he is doing. Edwards explains the dagger was won in a youthful duel with his brother. He kneels and presents the dagger to Aaron as a gift. Aaron looks up at his father, uncertain how to react. Ryan quietly gives his son permission to accept the gift. Ryan blesses his son, hoping he will become a man who seizes what he desires. The Grand Duke orders the butler to take his son inside. As Bella leads a confused Aaron away, he wonders what just happened. Edwards watches her go, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. Ryan sternly asks Edwards to state his purpose for being there. Edwards smiles, claiming his duty here is obvious. Now seated, Ryan asks if the Emperor seeks more relief funds. Edwards confirms it, stating the Grand Duke's donation would set an example. Ryan agrees to contribute, and Edwards prepares to leave. Ryan stops him, asking which specific region will receive the aid. Edwards laughs evasively, assuring him it will go to the right place. Conceding, Ryan watches as Edwards finally takes his leave. After Edwards departs, Alan voices his skepticism about the Emperor's motives. Ryan agrees, revealing he tested Edwards and confirmed the funds will never reach the victims. Ryan notes Edwards' brazen embezzlement. He orders the information to be leaked. Alan asks if he should conclude the party. Ryan smiles, feeling a moment of peace. Aaron excitedly sits before a wrapped gift. He unwraps a wooden doll of himself. The boy beams with absolute delight. As Ryan feels shy about his rusty skills, Aaron insists the gift is perfect. Aaron declares it's the best gift he's ever received. He joyfully hugs his new doll tightly. Bella cheerfully announces it's time for cake. Aaron gasps in awe at his beautiful birthday cake. He closes his eyes and makes a heartfelt wish. As Aaron blows out the candles, Ryan wonders why he's so strict with the son he adores. He questions his own harsh behavior.
Bella offers a slice of cake to the master.
Rayan recalls the cake is a healthy dessert.
A scream erupts as he prepares to take a bite. A maid bursts in, accusing Bella of poisoning the cake with lye. She swears she works in the kitchen and saw everything.
Bella calmly questions why she didn't stop her sooner.
The maid explains she only realized the batter was tainted after cooking with the leftovers. She furiously denies that she would ever eat the poisoned batter herself. Bella reveals her trap, explaining she suspected foul play and served a new, safe cake.
She recalls how adding lemon juice to the batter saved them.
The acidic juice reacted with the alkaline lye, revealing the poison. She remembers immediately reporting her suspicions to the butler. Alan presents a sack of lye found in the accuser's room as undeniable proof.
Case closed, Sherlock. Well done, Watson.
With glowing eyes, Ryan demands to know who ordered the assassination attempt. The maid breaks down, confessing she only acted out of jealousy toward Bella. He coldly dismisses her excuses as she begs for her life on the floor. Concluding she's too thoughtless to be a conspirator, Ryan leaves her punishment to Alan. The butler promises to demote and properly scold the terrified maid. Alan orders the disgraced maid to follow him. Bella leans in, quietly asking if the maid truly acted alone. She scolds the woman for letting jealousy endanger the young master. The party's turmoil now over, Aaron looks up at his father. He beams, declaring it was the best birthday party ever. Ryan promises him an even grander celebration next year.
As Bella leads Aaron away, Rayan suddenly stops them.
He and the nanny share a long, silent look. Bella smiles, affirming that his deep love for Aaron was clear to see. Rayan awkwardly thanks her, leaving Bella momentarily confused. She happily misinterprets his awkward praise as simple shyness. Rayan decides to let the incident pass quietly for Aaron's sake. He worries that punishing the maid too harshly will only increase the servant's jealousy of Bella. At the palace, an aide reports Ryan's pointed question about the relief funds.
Edwards confirms to the Emperor that Ryan was clearly suspicious.
The Emperor poses a riddle about loyalty, asking why the fish gather before him.
He notes the fish still flock to his hand, even without food.
The Emperor muses they're too stupid to realize they get nothing for their efforts. Edwards offers to find a disposable pawn who will blindly serve the Emperor for personal gain. The Emperor praises Edward's quick understanding, declaring him superior to his brother. Edward smiles, flattered by the Emperor's exclusive appreciation. The Emperor mentions Rayon's new wife from the Solon family, clearly disapproving. On a map, he notes the strategic value of the Solon territory, crediting their cunning. When urged to start a family, Edwards pledges his undying loyalty to the Emperor above all else. The Emperor dismisses love, stating marriage is for power and ordering Edwards to find him a useful woman. He points to a woman reading in a gazebo, telling Edwards to speak with her. The blonde-haired woman looks up, nervously addressing His Majesty. Edwards looks startled, briefly considering amusing himself with her.
He quickly dismisses the thought and reluctantly agrees to go see the woman.
The Emperor orders a maid to serve the pair tea and dessert. He then commands her to spy on their meeting and report the duration. The Emperor smirks, thinking a dog can't escape as long as its leash is held tight. At a grand estate, an aide reports that he has gathered the requested information. The aide informs Rayon that the Emperor is sending Count Kale to the earthquake-stricken Wynard region. Rayon finds the timing suspicious, as the restoration should be nearly complete. He cautiously rejects his aide's suggestion to contact his old friend Kale, warning against rash action. His eyes narrow, convinced the timing is far too coincidental.
Ryan tells his aide Owen to wait, deciding to assess the situation after meeting the Count.
A red-haired man, Count Cal, arrives with his young son, cheerfully greeting Rayan. As they shake hands, Ryan acknowledges it's been a long time since his border duty. Kael proudly introduces his son, Renan, and instructs him to greet the Grand Duke.
The boy glares defiantly, prompting his father to shout his name in frustration. Rayan calmly asks Alan to introduce Renan to Aaron instead.
Alan leads the reluctant young Master Renan away.
Elsewhere, Bella adjusts Aaron's uniform, getting him ready.
She smiles, holding a pitcher, and announcing she's ready.
Beaming with pride, Bella admires the perfectly dressed Aaron.
Alan introduces Renan, son of Count Kael, and Bella recognizes the Count's name. Aaron politely extends a hand and introduces himself.
Renan snubs him and turns away sharply.
Alan leaves the boys in Bella's care, and she confidently agrees.
Bella recalls that Count Kael betrays Ryan in the story and wonders if she can eavesdrop.
Renan scoffs, unimpressed with the Grand Duke's residence. He declares his own home superior, dismissing the room's contents as junk.
Suddenly, Renan bursts into a mocking laugh.
He holds up a cup with a chick on it, calling it childish as Aaron sadly claims it's his favorite. Renan carelessly tosses the precious cup, making Aaron gasp. Bella deftly catches it midair, realizing she's dealing with a top-tier troublemaker. Renan flips through a book about war, complaining that it's boring.
He throws the book over his shoulder as Aaron cries out in alarm.
Bella catches the book again, much to Renan's surprise. Enraged, Renan accuses her of showing off just to avoid cleaning. The boy throws a massive tantrum, kicking and throwing everything in sight. Like a goddess, Bella appears with multiple arms, effortlessly catching every single item. As a wolf mask lands on her head, she thinks this is nothing compared to her two brothers. Her perfect balance is broken as a pitcher of water spills all over her. Bella asks Aaron for help as Renan laughs hysterically at her drenched appearance. Bella forces a smile, trying to convince herself Renan is just a cute puppy. Aaron scolds Renan for throwing milk and tells Bella to change, but Renan dismisses her as a mere servant.
Bella reassures Aaron and gently asks the boys to play nicely while she's gone.
Aaron wants to keep his promise to Bella, but Renan grabs his precious doll, calling it shabby. Panicked, Aaron reaches out, begging Renan not to touch the doll. Renan playfully dodges Aaron, holding the doll just out of reach.
With a cruel grin, Renan smashes the doll against a dresser as Aaron screams in horror.
Aaron stares in shock at the broken foot of his precious doll. In tears, Aaron angrily shouts that his father made the doll for him. Renan sneers, mocking Rayan for being bored enough to make dolls at home. Aaron furiously defends his father, declaring the doll was a special birthday gift. Renan reveals his father said Rayan lost the emperor's favor and hides like a mouse. Enraged, Aaron tackles him, shouting not to insult his father. Elsewhere, Ryan and Count Kael sit opposite each other over tea. Ryan coldly asks Kael if he came all this way just to lecture him. Kael advises Ryan to be more cautious, reminding him the emperor keeps mentioning an old prophecy about him. Kael expresses his disappointment, saying the ambitious man he knew has become a weakling. Kael explodes with frustration, questioning if Ryan will let Aaron grow up without a father. While changing, Bella overhears their argument and fears the emperor is trying to kill Ryan. She suddenly wonders if Kael is the unnamed nobleman from the story. Bella recalls the novel's plot, where an unidentified noble manipulated the emperor, leading to Rayon's death, and realizes with horror it could be Kael. She realizes the deadly storyline is beginning now and feels powerless to intervene. Her panicked thoughts are interrupted by a child's pained scream. Kael instantly recognizes his son's voice as both he and Ryan look toward the sound. Realizing she can't return empty-handed, Bella decides to quickly change and get snacks. As she walks through the hall, she hopes the children are fine with their father's present.
Kael bursts into the room, anxiously calling out for his son, Renon.
He finds a crying Renon and a defiant Aaron standing amid a mess of overturned items. Sobbing, Renon points an accusing finger at Aaron, telling his father he was hit. Count Kael rushes to comfort his crying son.
Rayan stands before Aaron, calmly asking what happened.
Holding his broken doll, Aaron explains that Renon threw it first.
Rayan wonders if his son thought to protect his gift, but only asks, "So?" Kael furiously questions the need for a fight over a doll, offering to buy a new one. Aaron clutches the doll tightly and begins to cry. Aiden insists it wasn't just the doll, recounting how Renon insulted his father, threw milk at Bella, and broke his things. Having stood up for his father, Aaron beams with pride. Renon angrily retorts that he only repeated what he heard and refuses to apologize to a servant. Aaron furiously tells him not to speak so carelessly. Just then, Bella returns with a tray of fresh snacks. She enters the tense room, calling out to young Master Aaron. Rayan turns and asks where she has been.
Bella bows and explains she was changing her milk-soaked clothes.
She adds that she had to make new snacks because Renon threw the others away.
Rayan glares at Renon and asks if what Bella said is true. A bruised and terrified Renon trembles, unable to answer. Count Kael sternly orders his son to apologize to Aaron immediately. Flinching, Renon stammers a reluctant apology. As Kael tries to leave, Ryan stops him with a chilling warning to be careful what he says in front of children. Ryan gives Count Kael a final cold stare. Count Kael angrily leads Renon away as Ryan and Bella watch. Bella rushes to Aaron, anxiously asking if he's been hurt anywhere. Aaron smiles reassuringly, telling Bella that Renon couldn't hit him. Bella breathes a sigh of relief as Ryan looks on silently. She beams with pride, affectionately patting Aaron's head. Her affection surprises both Aaron and Ryan, leaving Bella to wonder if she did something wrong. Aaron tells his father that if he hadn't hit Renon, all his things would have been destroyed. Ryan tells Aaron that violence is wrong, but Aaron accepts his fault, admitting he should have thought before acting. Bella is stunned by his maturity. Ryan assigns Aaron the punishment of copying military law 10 times, which the boy happily accepts. Bella looks on in disbelief, shocked by the harshness of the punishment.
She whispers to Aaron, quietly offering to help him with his homework.
Ryan calls out for Alan to join him, and Bella freezes, terrified she was overheard. As Ryan and Alan leave, Bella remains behind, unnerved by the tense silence. Swack! Ryan suddenly spins around and grabs Bella's shoulder, making her cry out in surprise. Panicked, she blurts out an apology, promising she won't help the young master with his homework.
Ryan stares at her, completely bewildered by her frantic apology.
A sudden gust of wind blows through the room, catching Bella by surprise. Feeling the breeze, Bella decides she should close the open window. Renon looks on, thinking to himself that her timing is perfect. He watches her closely as she approaches the window. Just as she reaches for it, he simply says, "There," leaving her to wonder what he means.
Ryan sits down and asks Bella to be Aaron's companion while he is away.
He explains his strict parenting has made Aaron responsible, but also prone to shouldering burdens alone. He finishes by noting how differently Aaron acts around her, as if he's more at ease. Bella listens intently, surprised by his vulnerability and his request. She smiles and accepts, touched by his unexpectedly sensitive side. When she asks where he's going, he calls it official business, privately blaming his headache on his brother. Bella warns him not to leave without telling Aaron, explaining how deeply his disappearance would hurt the boy.
She insists he tell Aaron, secretly hoping she can then find out his destination from the boy himself.
Ryan finally reveals he'll be in Winard, the site of the recent earthquake, for a few days. Bella is shocked, realizing her suspicion was right. He's going to investigate the relief funds.
Ryan turns and announces he is taking his leave.
Bella watches him go, determined that she cannot let the original story's tragic plot unfold.
That night, Bella sits at her desk, writing by candlelight. She recalls the novel's plot. The Emperor embezzles relief funds using fake bandits, then lets the case go cold, while Ryan exposes the truth.
Remembering how the Emperor then exiles and executes Ryan, she slams her fist down, furious at her past self for writing such a tragic fate.
The scene shifts to a grand, light blue estate under a clear sky.
Inside, Owen reports that Lord Colin of Wynard has set a date to meet at Count Cale's estate in 1 week to transport the funds. Suddenly, a man's shout alerts them to a fire in the warehouse.
Ryan and his aide stare out the window in shock at the unexpected blaze.
Outside, men frantically throw buckets of water on the burning warehouse as Rayan watches. Rayan asks Alan for a report, and the butler confirms no one was hurt and the flames are nearly contained. Rayan orders his aide to extinguish the fire completely and inspect the building's interior. Later, Rayan enters the smoky but stable warehouse, feeling that something about the situation is off.
He spots a piece of paper on the floor and recognizes the handwriting immediately.
Examining the note, he confirms that he has seen this handwriting somewhere before.
Back in his office, Owen reports the fire started at the wooden door and spread quickly.
Ryan sits thoughtfully, asking for the guard's testimony about the incident.
Owen explains there was nothing suspicious, except for a person who insisted the guards eat an ugly, inedible-looking cookie.
Rayan puts the pieces together and asks if Bella visited the warehouse. Owen realizes the familiar handwriting was hers. Rayan asks how long after Bella left the fire started. Owen confirms it was about 15 minutes later, adding that Bella helped put it out. Rayan holds the note and connects the dots, concluding that Bella deliberately started the fire just 15 minutes after her visit.
A devilish chibi Bella is shown having made inedible cookies mixed with flammable materials.
Bella's plan is revealed. She urged the guards to eat the foul-smelling cookies, but they refused, so she left the cookies and secretly started the fire herself. Then, while pretending to help extinguish the blaze, she planted the note where it would be easily found.
Rayan clears his throat and asks Owen for an update on Bella's background investigation.
Owen reports that her story matches what they learned from her relatives, but the disappearance of her husband and child remains a strange, unsolved mystery.
Rayan listens thoughtfully, realizing he can't just reprimand her for arson when considering the explosive contents of the note she left.
The note reads as an anonymous tip, claiming the Emperor plans to use bandits to steal the relief funds.
Ryan wonders how Bella could have possibly known about the relief funds being collected from nobles, let alone his brother's sinister plan.
He questions if she really started a fire just to deliver this information, and resolves that he must speak with her directly. Ryan asks where Bella is, and Owen suggests she's watching Aaron's training, offering to call for her.
Rayan declines, deciding he will go himself and check on Aaron at the same time. Owen watches him go, quietly wondering if His Highness is suspicious of Bella.
He reasons that if Ryan were truly suspicious, he would have ordered her arrest, making his decision to go himself seem strange. Clang! The scene shifts to Aaron's training in the garden as Bella encourages him to try harder. Bella suddenly feels a strange chill, wondering if someone is talking about her. She turns to find Ryan standing right behind her as she sits with a tray of snacks. Startled, she leaps up with a cry, nearly dropping the entire tray in shock.
Ryan holds up her note, coolly asking if she is the one who wrote it.
Bella feigns confusion, but inwardly panics as she realizes he recognized her handwriting from the military law she copied for Aaron. Thinking fast, she decides her only option is to spill water on the note, making it illegible so she can deny everything.
Trying to appear calm, she says, "I'm Finn," before purposefully tripping on a small rock.
"Ah!" she screams as she tumbles forward, sending the teapot and cookies flying through the air. She crashes into Rayon's arms, drenching his chest with water as a floral background appears. As a nearby trainer shouts instructions, Aaron stares in disbelief at the scene of his father holding a soaked Bella. Bella apologizes profusely, internally screaming that she only meant to get the paper wet, not him.
Rayon gently pushes her forehead back, and she wonders what he is doing.
Drenched in blushing, Rayon asks how long she plans to stay on top of him, prompting her to quickly apologize and move.
Still apologizing for losing her balance, she dabs at his wet shirt with a small cloth.
Water dripping from his hair, Rayan looks down at her and asks if she did that on purpose. She shakes her head frantically, insisting that she didn't. Rayan announces he is going to the palace, but warns her to prepare for his questions upon his return. As he walks away, Bella clutches her chest, relieved he doesn't seem as angry as she had feared. Rayan pauses in the garden, touching his chest with a slight blush on his face. A credits page with the series title marks a chapter break.
At the palace, Rayan presents several large chests, explaining they contain the relief funds and supplies for the Winard region.
A mustachioed man on a throne, the emperor, orders a red-haired man to verify the contents. The red-haired man smirks while opening a chest as Rayan modestly claims he has only done his duty as a loyal vassal. The aide confirms the funds are in order, and Rayan declares that the emperor's generosity will be a great comfort to the victims. The emperor remarks that Rayan cares for the people before asking why he brought the funds to the palace instead of transporting them directly with his army. Rayan explains that he recently received intelligence about a rebellion in the northwest, forcing him to dispatch his private forces and leaving him unable to transport the funds safely. Angered, the emperor asks why he wasn't informed, but Rayan calmly replies that a report on the small-scale disturbance was submitted. Rayan bows his head slightly, stating he assumed the emperor implicitly entrusted him to handle the suppression. The emperor accepts the explanation, attributing his oversight to being busy and deciding to entrust the transport to KL instead. Rayan bows respectfully and announces he will take his leave. As he turns to go, the red-haired man calls out to him. The man notes that Rayan doesn't seem disappointed about losing control of the funds, to which Rayan smirks and asks why he should be. The red-haired man gets close, revealing that he could tell Rayan suspected not all of the money would reach the disaster area. Rayan simply smiles, his expression confident and unreadable. Rayan excuses himself from the throne room as the red-haired man watches him go. The red-haired man internally reveals he incited the Northwest Rebellion to force Rayan's hand, but is now confused by Rayan's unbothered demeanor. He decides it is time to activate his spy as the scene shifts to a grand estate at night. Inside, Bella and another maid pace nervously as Bella panics about what to do. Wah, a chibi Bella cries, regretting her decision to help Aaron write his punishment lines. Seeing Rayon's carriage return, Bella rushes out to greet him. Steeling herself, she resolves to admit what she must and invent excuses for the rest. Rayon stops in the moonlit garden and asks if she has had time to think. Bella bows, promising to tell him everything honestly, to which he replies, "Good." He leads the way, telling her they will speak in his study, and she follows. In his study, Bella stands before his desk and confesses to setting the warehouse fire and leaving the note. Rayon smirks, noting she's not as foolish as he thought for admitting it so quickly, and then asks for her objective. She simply says, "Impact." She explains that she chose the dramatic method to ensure the message would be imprinted on his mind more effectively than words alone. He leans forward, questioning how a mere nanny could know his plans, and she claims to have a well-informed friend. She continues explaining that she feared he wouldn't trust her word, forcing her to use a different method. Bella's demeanor changes as she passionately declares she did it because she knows he cherishes his people and she wanted to help him. Stunned by her emotional outburst, Rayon silently wonders what she just said. The two stand in the study, surrounded by a romantic, floral aura. Blushing furiously, Bella gasps, realizing the implication of her words.
She flails her arms about, frantically trying to clarify her platonic intentions, only making the situation more awkward. A flustered Rayon tells her to stop, insisting he understands what she meant. Composing herself, Bella explains her real fear, that he would discover the truth, confront the emperor, and ultimately endanger his own life. She closes her eyes, adding that if that were to happen, the young master Aaron would... Rayon's expression turns grim as he repeats his son's name. She poses a terrible question. What if Aaron lost his father and became a monster of war just to avenge him? Her words hit their mark, leaving Rayon staring in shock at the grim possibility.
Bella suggests a plan to protect the funds. Swap the boxes of money with boxes of stones just before their departure.
Rayon admits he had a similar thought, and then asks how she managed to start the fire without leaving any evidence behind.
A chibi Bella looks annoyed, revealing she learned the trick from a romance fantasy novel about how boiling milk creates a precipitate.
She asks for a reaction, embarrassed by his silent, chibi-like stare.
She explains her method of using phosphorus powder on dry straw, which catches fire in sunlight, allowing her to be absent from the scene.
Rayon admits her method is more professional than he expected, while Bella muses that her next novel should be a forensic story.
Bella breathes a sigh of relief, glad he seems to finally believe her.
However, Rayon points out a flaw in her story. Her personnel files states she can't read or write, so how does she possess such scientific knowledge?
Bella freezes, realizing with horror that she completely forgot that part of her cover story.
Thinking fast, she prepares to spin a new excuse for her unexpected knowledge. She claims an interest in science led her to secretly attend her younger brother's lessons. She adds that his teacher admired her passion and taught her other miscellaneous things. She downplays her knowledge, explaining that street performers use phosphorus for their acts and that he has likely not seen it due to his long service at the frontier.
Rayon closes his eyes, unable to distinguish her lies from the truth, but decides to accept her story for now as it doesn't harm him. Bella is inwardly annoyed that he is only assuming she's telling the truth.
Rayon declares that arson, even with good intentions, is a crime. As punishment, she will reflect in her room for 3 days, while also making the phosphorus powder she described. Bella's eyes sparkle as she happily misinterprets his order as a sign of concern for her boredom. He quickly corrects her, stating he wants the powder for his own plan and says Owen will provide materials. She happily agrees.
Looking exhausted, Rayon dismisses her, and she bows respectfully. As she leaves, she celebrates not being fired, but Ryan calls out to her. Her good mood vanishes as she turns back, forcing a smile and asking what else he needs. Looking away with a slight blush, Rayan awkwardly asks if she was hurt during her fall earlier.
Confused, Bella hesitantly confirms she's fine as he reaches a hand toward her.
She suddenly remembers crashing into his arms and realizes that's the fall he meant. Bella gasps, finally understanding his concern.
She realizes he deliberately caught her out of genuine worry for her safety.
Back in her room, Bella sits exhausted among the materials for her task. Elsewhere, a brown-haired maid named Evelyn plans a midnight snack raid. Grumbling about how stingy Owen is, she sneaks into the hallway.
Meanwhile, Bella gazes out her window at the bright moon.
Her peace is broken when she spots Evelyn, who notices her watching. A hooded figure summons Evelyn, who demands to know the reason for the sudden meeting. The figure presents a small pouch, claiming it is from their master. Evelyn smirks, seeing an opportunity to finally get rid of the annoying Bella. The figure warns her that their master is ruthless, and failure will mean her death. Unfazed, Evelyn confidently tells the figure to have their master prepare Ryan's bounty. Hiding nearby, Bella strains to overhear, but can't hear a thing.
As she considers moving closer, a voice suddenly calls out her name.
Whirling around in shock, she calls out to the darkness. It's Erin, who questions why she is out of her room during her confinement. From her hiding spot, Evelyn is relieved she wasn't caught and decides to take Erin back. Bella shushes Erin, quietly leading him away from the scene as he agrees to follow. Once clear, she asks him why he's wandering alone so late at night.
He explains he went to the bathroom alone so as not to disturb anyone.
Overcome with emotion, Erin suddenly gives her a tight hug. He confesses that he's missed her terribly, even though it's only been 2 days. Smiling warmly, Bella admits she missed him too. Erin's eyes light up with joy as he asks if she really means it. She smiles, but her expression suggests she has something more to say. She gently reminds him of the rules, warning him of the dangers of wandering alone. He understands and brightly promises to be more careful in the future. Bella then asks him to keep their late-night meeting a secret between them. He happily agrees, promising to keep her secret safe. Gently patting his head, she suggests they should return. As they walk away, Bella resolves to stop whatever scheme Evelyn is planning. The scene shifts to the grand residence of Count Kale. Captain Hector of the Guard orders his men to prepare for their departure to the palace.
Kale, the redhead count, arrives as Hector asks if the cargo is secure.
Kale decides to double-check the cargo himself before leaving for a banquet. He stresses the importance of being extra careful with the boxes. Hector and his guards bow in understanding and agreement. A cheerful young woman in a purple dress, Daisy Kayel, runs up looking for her brother. Kale beckons his sister over as a flustered Hector greets her. Daisy playfully asks why he's hiding and reminds him of their trip to the palace. Though Kale says there's still time, Daisy insists he help her pick a dress to impress someone. Kyle looks on with a knowing, teasing smirk. His expression leaves his sister completely flustered. She shows him 2 dress designs, asking for his help choosing between pink and yellow. He inwardly complains that he knows nothing about such things. Annoyed by his teasing, Daisy playfully hits her laughing brother. A new voice interjects, suggesting the pink one, and Daisy turns in surprise. It was Hector, who tells her that the color pink suits her best. Delighted, Daisy declares that Hector knows best and decides on the pink dress. As she runs off excitedly, Kyle calls after her to be careful. The scene opens on a magnificent white palace beneath a full moon. Inside, a nobleman with a mustache hosts a dinner for a young woman, a red-haired man in green, and a red-haired man in a military uniform. The red-haired man in green humbly claims he was merely fulfilling his duty as a subject. The nobleman gestures to the standing man in the military uniform, telling him to sit and asking, "Edwards?"
Edwards tells him to just give the order, but the nobleman insists he dine with them as a reward for his good ideas.
The nobleman slyly suggests that by sitting, Edwards can look after Miss Daisy. A flustered Edwards stammers, while the other two guests watch with interest. The nobleman's expression hardens as he pointedly asks if Edwards has an objection. Sweating, Edwards quickly bows and agrees to obey the command. The nobleman laughs, satisfied with his compliance. Edwards takes his seat at the table as a maid serves the meal. Lady Daisy cheerfully greets Sir Edwards, who responds with formal acknowledgement. With a hopeful sparkle in her eyes, she asks if he could teach her how to ride a horse. Edwards agrees he would be glad to, but points out a regulation requiring female instructors for women. He explains that since he is a man, it would be difficult for him to be her instructor. A moment later, he changes his mind and tells Daisy he will take her into his care. Daisy beams with joy at his decision. The nobleman watches them, sipping his wine with a look of quiet satisfaction. He then asks how a certain matter is proceeding, and an unseen person confirms it is progressing smoothly. Pleased, the nobleman expresses his reassurance in having both him and Edwards on the job. The scene shifts to a military encampment in a forest at night. Two soldiers move a cart as a fire burns brightly in a brazier. A soldier formally welcomes back Captain Hector. A purple-haired soldier reports that the mission was tough and orders another man to come with him to find replacements for the tired soldiers. Hector addresses the remaining soldiers, telling them the butler has prepared food and they should rest. The purple-haired soldier sternly tells his men to get moving. He then turns to Hector, suggesting they go together. The view pans across the campfires as they leave. Returning to the dinner, the nobleman smiles contentedly while enjoying his wine. Edward stands at attention, formally addressing him as Your Majesty. Daisy politely announces her departure. Edwards thanks her, and she smiles graciously in return. In a carriage, Daisy asks Sir Edwards how her new dress looks, revealing she commissioned it for him, and he tells her it suits her well. He smiles, thanking her for the flattery. Daisy looks at him hopefully and asks if he believes in destined love. He is taken aback, repeating her words in surprise. A vision of Daisy in a fine hat appears as he silently considers her question. A quiet moment passes between them. Edwards admits he doesn't believe in fated love, prompting Daisy to ask what kind he does believe in. He declares that his only focus is serving His Majesty, and that he has never thought about romance. As Daisy advises him to marry someday, she is cut off by the carriage stopping, announcing their arrival. Edwards steps out of the carriage first. He turns and offers his hand to help Daisy disembark. Their moment is shattered as a man runs toward them, screaming that there is a fire in the kitchen. Both Edwards and Daisy turn in wide-eyed shock at the terrible news. A building is consumed by a raging inferno as servants frantically try to fight the flames. A horrified Daisy asks what is happening and where the fire started. A butler rushes over, explaining it began in the kitchen from drying hay and has already spread to the hall. Edwards urgently asks if the fire is contained to only the kitchen and the hall. The butler confirms the barracks are safe, but they're struggling to control the blaze and have sent someone to the palace to notify Count Kale. A red-haired man decides not to inform His Majesty about the fire, believing it's a minor issue that would only interrupt his enjoyment. He orders another man to recall the servant sent to find the Count, stating he'll handle the fire himself. From the bushes, two men watch as Edwards and Daisy stand talking outside the residence, unaware of the nearby fire.
A man in a servant's uniform signals to his accomplices that it's time to make their move.
Under the cover of darkness, the group of men carries large, heavy chests through the woods.
The scene shifts to a large, brightly lit mansion under the night sky. The red-haired Count Kale storms up to a man, demanding to know why he wasn't informed about the fire.
The man explains the steward sent the messenger away, but Kale angrily insists he should have been told regardless of the circumstances.
Kale orders an investigation into the fire's cause just as a new voice greets him, noting it's been nearly 10 years.
The man introduces himself as Count Phillips Collin. Kale tearfully thanks him for volunteering to help and announces their immediate departure. As they leave, Kale inwardly scoffs at this stupid Count Collin, revealing a plan to have bandits steal everything.
A heavily guarded caravan, led by Kale and Colin, travels down a sunlit forest road.
Count Collin expresses his heartfelt gratitude for His Majesty's generosity in preparing substantial relief funds.
Kale outwardly agrees with a smile, while inwardly mocking Colin's naivete and questioning if he's pure-hearted or simply stupid.
Count Collin reflects on the 3 emperors he has served, noting the previous 2 loved their people, but trailing off about the current one.
As they ride, one of their men notices something ahead and asks what's happening.
A scout gallops toward them, frantically warning that a group of 20 armed bandits is approaching. Kyle feigns shock at the news of bandits, while secretly smirking as he thinks it's all according to plan.
Kale bravely offers to lure the bandits away with 1 box, urging Count Collin to escape, but Collin staunchly refuses to abandon the funds.
The guards nervously draw their swords as a horde of bandits appears on the road before them.
Realizing they are surrounded, Count Collin draws his own sword, ready for a fight. Kale internally panics, wondering why the old man is drawing his sword and worrying he'll provoke the bandits.
The scar-faced bandit leader grins menacingly, promising his men a feast tonight. Kale desperately offers a chest to the bandits, begging them to spare their lives.
The bandit leader opens the chest and finds only rocks, furiously realizing he's been tricked.
"It's a trap!" Kale shouts the order to kill them all as the battle erupts.
A soldier is cut down as his terrified comrade begs for mercy.
Count Collin fights valiantly, yelling for Kyle to protect the relief funds for the people of Winard.
Kale watches the carnage unfold, shouting for Count Collin as the battle rages around him. In disbelief, Kyle demands to know what's happening, frantically asking if it's all just an act.
Kale's eye widens in shock as the reality of the situation sinks in.
A bandit's sword slices through the air, severing Count Collin's arm as he collapses in agony. Cal lets out a horrified scream as he witnesses the brutal attack.
The pommel of a sword gleams as the chaos continues. Kale leaps in front of the wounded Count Collin, blocking a bandit's sword with his own. Kale gasps in pain as a bandit's blade strikes him.
He rushes to Count Collin's side, anxiously asking if he's all right.
The gravely injured Count urges Kale to leave him and escape with the money.
Kale wonders why the attack is real and suspects Edward's betrayal, just as a voice orders the attackers captured alive.
Seeing the new arrivals decimate the bandits, Kale wonders who this mysterious rescuer could be. The leader of the reinforcements is revealed to be a stunned Kale's acquaintance, Ryan Winthrop. Ryan and his soldiers effortlessly cut through the remaining bandits.
The bandit leader orders a full retreat, and his men flee the bloody scene.
Standing amid the aftermath, Ryan notes that he's glad he observed from afar, as the thieves attacked despite being paid off.
Ryan rushes to the wounded Count Collin, asking if he's all right. Ryan orders Owen to quickly escort the injured Sir Colin to a physician.
Ryan explains that he came because His Majesty's order made him feel uneasy, and he wonders how this ambush occurred.
Surveying the many casualties, Ryan suggests to Kale that they travel together with his soldiers for safety. With a knowing smirk, Ryan tells Kyle to do as he sees fit. Mounting his horse, Ryan commands his soldiers to escort the captured thieves to the capital. Thud. Defeated and bleeding, Kyle collapses to the forest floor. Covered in his own blood, Kyle wonders what to report to His Majesty, while a soldier asks for his orders. Kale recalls the original plan. Count Colin was supposed to return empty-handed and report the funds stolen by thieves.
He frantically wonders how Edwards messed up, as the thieves were only supposed to pretend to attack.
Deciding he has no other option, Kyle resolves to go to Wynard and report the theft himself.
A hay-covered cart, part of a small caravan, rumbles into a town square.
A group of weary villagers watches as the caravan and its escort arrive. On horseback, KL introduces himself to a saluting soldier as Sohydro Wynard, son of Count Colin. Kale recognizes the man's magistrate uniform, and the brown-haired officer explains he is helping maintain order after the disaster.
The officer adds he's acting as security captain for a few months, which Kale internally mocks as an eccentric lowering of a noble's dignity.
As an officer prioritizes his report over medical aid, another soldier shocks Kale by announcing the relief funds have already been received safely.
Creak! The soldier unlatches a heavy wooden chest to prove his claim.
The chest is filled with gleaming gold, leaving Kale stunned and confused as to how the stolen funds are already there. The emperor and a red-haired subordinate stand grimly before a large chest.
The enraged emperor slams his fist down, demanding to know what happened, and his subordinate quickly agrees.
A recap explains that the thieves were imprisoned, and the emperor, his plan foiled, was secretly boiling with rage.
Though seething internally, the emperor outwardly praised Ryan for suppressing the bandits. The next day, the imprisoned thieves were promptly hanged without interrogation, leaving Kale and Edwards baffled as to why their plan failed.
The scene transitions to the sunlit rooftops of a grand mansion.
A cheerful woman with light brown hair cracks an egg into a bowl in a sunlit kitchen.
She explains she's making a snack for young Master Aaron, while an unseen person suspiciously wonders what her new trick is.
Another maid approaches the woman, named Bella, and apologizes for a past incident, pleading with her to let it go.
Bella smiles and tells the maid that it is the master's forgiveness that is most important.
The maid sheepishly asks Bella to put in a good word for her with the butler.
As the maid explains her difficult circumstances, Bella internally suspects a scheme, but outwardly agrees to help, planning to uncover the truth.
The maid gratefully thanks Bella for her kindness.
In a grand hallway, a dark-haired man discusses probabilities, stating something could be either 0 or 100%.
As he mentions other percentages, a young boy with purple hair peeks from a doorway, listening intently. A teacher with glasses asks for an explanation, and the boy pipes up about a locked door and a cat.
The boy explains that without opening the door, they can't know if the cat went out or not. The teacher dismisses it as ridiculous, but the boy clarifies it's a thought experiment by a scientist named Schrödinger.
Bella arrives with a tray of snacks, finding the master standing outside the room and asking why he hasn't gone in.
She explains she was just sharing a scientific story, but inwardly she's confused about the situation. Bella remains puzzled by the master's strange behavior. The master turns to her and sternly asks for an explanation of Schrödinger's cat, leaving her flustered.
Stuttering, Bella explains the lesson is not to jump to conclusions until things are verified, as the young boy listens from inside. Young Master Aaron beams, having clearly understood the intellectual lesson. The master praises Bella for her work helping disaster victims and offers her a reward. He kindly suggests prize money or a vacation as possible rewards.
Bella pauses, thoughtfully considering his offer.
She politely declines, stating she's never thought about a reward, and asks if she can decide later.
The master insists on granting her one small, immediate wish.
After a moment of thought, Bella realizes she does have one wish she'd like granted. She breaks into a bright, happy smile, having made her decision. Bella, now in a lovely blue dress, stands before the grand estate gates. She nervously clutches her dress, thinking how surreal it feels to be there at his request. The master, dressed casually and holding a horse, tells her it's time to go, but she anxiously points out there's only one horse. He asks if she can ride, and she shakes her head no.
With a simple explanation, he mounts the single horse he brought for them.
Seated on the horse, he reaches his hand down to help Bella up.
Bella wonders if he's telling her to take his hand to get on the horse.
She places her hand in his.
He effortlessly lifts her up onto the horse.
Now seated behind him, he tells her to hold on tight.
The flustered Bella panics, wondering where she's supposed to hold on.
As they ride along a beautiful cliffside, she exclaims how beautiful the view is.
She smiles, happily thinking this is what a vacation feels like.
The scene shifts to a stressed woman with purplish red hair, complaining about being an overworked, underpaid, non-regular worker. Remembering her past jealousy of people on vacation, she resolves to finish her work quickly. Back in the present, Bella wishes this happy moment could stop time.
The master watches her, noting that she seems to be enjoying herself.
Whoa! The horse suddenly rears up and Bella lets out a terrified scream. He glances back at her with a subtle, knowing smile. Clinging to him, Bella thinks she almost suffered a tragic fall. She laughs nervously, trying to pretend she wasn't scared at all. As she realizes how tightly she's grabbing his waist, she lets out a startled, "Ah!" She frantically apologizes, insisting she didn't grab him on purpose. He calmly tells her it's fine and that he forgives her. Clearing his throat, he tells her she may keep holding on, but she says she's fine now. The horse begins moving again, and Bella looks uncertain. Deciding to take his offer, she shyly hugs him from behind. They ride together through a vast, sunlit field of dandelions. He helps her down from the horse, announcing they've arrived. She leaps into the flower-filled meadow with pure joy. She marvels that the floating dandelion seeds look just like snow. He stands back, watching her run happily through the field. He quietly agrees with her, saying it looks nice. She apologizes for getting too carried away by herself. After he suggests they speak casually, she excitedly asks if they can talk like friends. Beaming, she declares it a promise he can't take back. Holding a bouquet of dandelions, she happily wonders if this means Ryan trusts her. She holds the dandelions up to him, asking if he thinks they're pretty. Taking the flowers, he agrees that they are beautiful.
She playfully places a dandelion crown on his head as he looks on, unamused.
She skips away laughing as he wipes his face. He gently tucks a stray dandelion seed from her hair.
Sitting together, he asks about her life, but she dismisses it as uninteresting.
She asks if he truly wants to hear her long story.
Bella begins her tale, describing her difficult childhood, helping her struggling mother raise 2 younger siblings.
She explains she gave up her studies and started working to lessen her mother's burden. After he asks what happened then, she recounts how she eventually collapsed from overwork, having lived only for her family and never for herself. He offers her a week's vacation to see her family, but she sadly explains that she is unable to meet them right now.
She advises him to also take time to rest, as it will help him care for others. Her thoughtful words leave him momentarily stunned. She thanks him again, saying she's so happy he fulfilled her wish.
He smiles softly and agrees.
The scene transitions to a snowy, quiet town at night.
A man with red hair asks a cloaked figure why he has been summoned. The red-haired man, Edwards, blames the bandits' greed for their plan's failure, but the hooded man says the situation seems suspicious. Edwards asks if he's being suspected, but the hooded man accuses Grand Duke Ryan of intervening and switching the boxes. The cloaked man accuses Edwards of a shoddy investigation into the fire at his estate, dismissing the claim of spontaneous combustion.
The hooded man smirks, accusing Edwards of orchestrating the bandit attack out of fear of losing favor with the emperor.
Edwards scoffs at the creative accusation, dares him to tell the emperor, and dismisses the conversation before turning to leave.
Holding a lantern, the hooded man angrily yells, questioning if Edwards thinks he can't follow through on the threat.
Edwards walks away, warning the hooded man not to contact him again, while the man fumes that this was all part of a long-term plan.
A dark-haired man smiles gently at a woman with light brown hair.
A close-up on his thoughtful purple eyes reveals he wants to see if he's in love.
As they lean in for a kiss in a dream, Bella jolts awake with a gasp.
She sits up in bed, disoriented, and wondering what kind of dream she just had.
Lying back down, she insists she can't fall in love with a character she herself created. At the same time, Ryan stands pensively in his bedroom, looking out a large window.
He covers his face, tormented by the memory of her bright, smiling face.
A tear escapes his closed eye as he laments not knowing her true identity. Pacing restlessly, he tries to rationalize his feelings as excitement from their outing, while both he and Bella toss and turn in their beds.
A new day begins at a grand, sunlit palace.
Dressed in a formal uniform, Ryan stands ready to receive his orders.
The emperor, with Edwards at his side, assigns Ryan to a new civil affairs office at the imperial palace's northwest gate, a location Ryan finds suspicious. The emperor challenges him with a smirk, asking if he's unwilling to solve the people's problems on his behalf. Ryan smiles and reassures the emperor he won't betray his expectations. The northwest gate area is revealed to be the poorest and most dilapidated part of the capital. It's a place of rampant disease, filled with brothels and the homeless. Corpses are a common sight in the dirty river, and the area is spoken of only with disgust.
Creek. Ryan and an aide arrive at the run-down civil affairs office.
They look down into a dusty, derelict room filled with cobwebs.
The aide pinches his nose, disgusted by the deplorable working conditions.
He angrily declares that despite the emperor's feelings, Ryan's war merits mean he shouldn't be assigned to such a squalid place.
Ryan calmly warns his aide to watch his words while in the capital. The aide continues to protest, arguing the emperor is intentionally trying to embarrass him and that no commoner would ever come here. An elderly woman suddenly appears, asking if this is the new office and startling the two men.
She tearfully explains how a merchant cheated her out of eggs for her granddaughter's birthday, and Ryan immediately agrees to register her case. The aide looks on with a stressed and worried expression.
A massive, winding line of citizens has already formed outside the office.
Two men in the crowd praise Ryan's kindness, recalling how he rescued one's cat and hoping he can help find the other's lost clothes. Inside, Ryan sits at a simple desk, diligently listening to the concerns of the waiting commoners. A grateful man bows deeply to Ryan, clutching an official-looking letter. Hearing a familiar voice, Rayan looks up from his work, surprised.
Bella stands before him, smiling warmly and holding a basket.
The scene shifts to the exterior of the grand ducal residence. Bella sighs to herself, joking that she's becoming Rayan's nanny as well as Aaron's. As Rayan walks by, he ignores Bella completely. A crowd of grateful citizens gathers at the gate, trying to offer Rayan gifts of food and even kittens, as a guard struggles to maintain order. The aide desperately calls out to Bella for help, explaining he lacks the authority to manage the grateful crowd. Bella smiles confidently, rallies the crowd to follow her, and declares it's time to use her skills as a former office worker. Dusk falls over the stately residence. In his study, Rayan reviews reports on a contaminated river before asking after Aaron. His eyes widen in quiet shock at what he's told. A soft, knowing smile spreads across his face. A maid on a balcony looks over the bustling courtyard and asks where Bella is. Bella looks shocked to learn about the Andrian festival. The legend is told of a female knight named Andrea who led her forces into the harsh winter to defeat monsters hundreds of years ago.
Bella recalls the festival's lore, where eating rice cakes became a cherished custom. Oh no, she panics, realizing she has no idea how to make rice cakes. The butler explains that another maid, Evelyn, wished to work in the kitchen and suggests letting her make the rice cakes instead.
Bella happily agrees, thinking this is the perfect chance to observe Evelyn's true intentions.
The scene shifts to Evelyn, quietly sweeping the garden path. Annoyed, Evelyn asks what the interruption is, stating that she's busy cleaning. Bella approaches with a kind smile, noting that Evelyn seems to have been reflecting a lot lately. She happily announces that she got the butler's permission for Evelyn to make the festival's rice cakes. Overcome with gratitude, Evelyn drops to her knees and tearfully thanks Bella.
Bella helps her up, smiling as she wishes Evelyn good luck with the task.
At Count Kamar's lavish residence, a man on a sofa drunkenly demands money from Edwards. The decadent party continues as couples lounge together on the sofas. Edwards looks on grimly before turning to leave. A man with silver gray hair, introduced as Theodore Kamar, mockingly calls out to his departing brother, Edwards. Edwards gives a stiff bow, explaining he didn't want to be a bother. Theodore taunts him about rumors of his activities with the emperor, questioning why he acts so pure around their family. Edwards calmly replies he is simply trying not to dampen the emperor's spirits. Theodore scoffs, calling Edwards a loyal dog who would die for the emperor. Exploding with rage, Theodore accuses Edwards of bad-mouthing him to the emperor and blocking his audience requests. He gets in Edwards' face, asking if he thinks he can become the next count by blocking his ambitions. Wham! After Theodore calls him a bastard born to a prostitute, Edwards punches him square in the jaw. With a dark and furious expression, Edwards declares he won't tolerate insults against his mother. Their father intervenes, grabbing Edwards, who demands to know if he heard the insult, only for the count to scream at him to shut up. Theodore wipes blood from his lip, stunned by the blow. Looking on with disgust, the count declares Edward's mother a disgrace to their family. He points an accusing finger, yelling that Edward's lowly blood is also a disgrace. Edward smirks coldly, retorting that his father must miss his mother's lowly blood since he had someone searching for her again, shocking the count. Enraged by the revelation, the count orders his men to beat Edwards senseless. Surrounded by guards with drawn swords, Edward calmly warns his father of the consequences should the emperor's right-hand man die here. Seething, the count banishes him from the house, unable to even look at him. Edwards turns and walks away, leaving the guards standing by.
Fuming that he can't kill Edwards, the Count is calmed by Theodore.
Theodore reminds his father of their spy in Rayan's residence, revealing a plan to have Rayan assassinated during the Andrian festival. As Theodore plots to gain the emperor's trust, Edwards realizes his family also has a spy targeting Rayan. Edwards resolves that he cannot allow Rayan to be killed by his family's schemes. At the palace, someone shouts in disbelief over a shocking development. Edwards finds the emperor trembling with rage and asks what has happened. He reads a report in disbelief. Grand Duke Rayan has requested a massive budget to rebuild the Northwest Gate's infrastructure. The emperor fumes, declaring Rayan a mad dog for daring to ask for money after being sent to a destitute region to be forgotten.
When Edward suggests refusing the request, the emperor explains it isn't that simple.
Edwards bows his head, understanding the unspoken command from His Majesty.
The scene shifts to the Northwest Gate civilian district.
Edwards walks through a clean and bustling town square, a stark contrast to its reputation.
He and his aide stand on a bridge overlooking a surprisingly clear river.
His aide expresses disbelief at the area's transformation, while Edwards crouches to examine the water.
Edward silences his aide, needing a moment to process what he's seeing.
He spots Rayan's army on patrol and decides to follow them to investigate further.
From above, Rayan's soldiers are seen confronting a merchant in the street. By order of the Grand Duke, one of Rayan's men announces that a fraudulent establishment is being shut down.
The furious shopkeeper protests, warning the soldiers that the shop belongs to young Master Theodore of the Kamar family. Realizing the shop belongs to his brother, Edwards smirks, planning to teach the owners a lesson so they won't talk.
Back at the palace, Edwards reports to the emperor that the Northwest Gate is improving significantly and advises granting Rayan's request for funds.
The emperor scoffs at the report, angrily wondering why Rayan is working so hard and if he expects a reward.
Edwards calmly points out that regardless of Rayan's intentions, the improvements mean more taxes can be collected.
The emperor glares, suspicious of Edwards, and seething over how long he must tolerate Rayan's insubordination. With a sinister smile, the emperor orders the release of a prisoner named Chester. Edwards is horrified by the order, asking if he means the murderous bandit who killed over 10 people.
The emperor explains that Chester, who even killed his own family, was captured by Rayan and will surely seek revenge. Confirming he wants to use Chester to kill Rayan, the emperor promises Edwards a reward for handling the matter. Edwards reluctantly accepts the command, thinking to himself that everyone is now targeting Rayan.
The scene shifts to a bright, peaceful town square. Evelyn, the maid from Rayan's residence, walks through the market with a basket.
She heads down a quiet cobblestone alley.
As Evelyn passes, Bella peeks out from a corner, startled.
Bella cautiously follows, watching Evelyn from a distance.
Hiding, Bella watches as Evelyn secretly passes a small bottle to a mysterious figure in a black cloak.
Suspecting another attempt to poison someone, Bella is suddenly tapped on the shoulder by a man who greets her.
Bella gasps in shock as she turns to find Edward smiling down at her. From a distance, Evelyn gasps, having seen the two of them together.
Edwards quickly pulls Bella into a hug, putting on a show for the onlooker.
Evelyn stares at the embrace with a worried expression.
Turning quickly, Evelyn flees the scene.
Once she's gone, Bella pushes away from Edward, asking if she left.
He apologizes, explaining he pretended to know her so she wouldn't be caught spying.
Edwards asks if she's a nanny, to which Bella confirms she is, though not his.
He smiles, asking for her name this time, since she left without telling him before.
Bella internally debates which of her 3 names, Shinbora, Bella, or Vienia, should give him. She decides on Bella, and Edward smiles, promising to remember her pretty name.
Thinking her business is done, Bella happily waves goodbye and turns to leave.
Edwards gently takes her hand, offering to walk her home since she seems unfamiliar with the area.
Internally, Bella weighs her options, deciding to use the opportunity to gather information on the Emperor from the villain. She turns back with a bright smile, agreeing to walk with him.